everyone. Good morning. Please welcome Dr. Melissa Kaufman, Interim Associate Dean for Education.
Hello and good morning, everyone. It's so wonderful to see all of you here today. On behalf of Drexel University, Dornsife School of Public Health, I would like to welcome you to today's pinning and welcoming ceremony. This ceremony is a long-standing tradition since the school's founding in 1996, and an opportunity for us to welcome new students, staff, and faculty to Dornsife School of Public Health at the start of each academic year. Today's program includes a tradition that was first instituted at the school's founding 27 years ago by our first dean, Dr. Jonathan Mann. Dr. Mann was a humanitarian, advocate, and visionary who highlighted the intersection of health and human rights. Incoming new public health students receive a School of Public Health pin as a reflection of our school's commitment to social justice, our vision of health as a human right, and an important step that formally welcomes all new students into the field of public health. This year, we are welcoming over 180 new public health students, both in person and virtually online via live stream. Students in our online program who are not here today will receive a pin in the mail in several weeks. Today, we welcome you to the Dornsife community, whether in person or virtually. Following the presentation of the pins, our student government organization leaders will lead everyone in our pledge, reciting the preamble to the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, adopted in 1948 by the General Assembly of the United Nations. At this time, it is my pleasure to introduce you to our interim dean for Dornsife School of Public Health, Dr. Legina Lavasi.
Hello and good morning. I'm delighted to welcome you to the 2023 pinning ceremony for the Dornsife School of Public Health. This is a ceremony we do every year where we welcome all students and faculty and staff to our school, and most importantly, where we renew our commitment to make health as a human right a reality. This ceremony highlights our school's historical commitment to social justice as a key to achieving health equity for all. Public health crises in our city, our country, and around the world demand our attention and our action. As scholars, we have a responsibility to inform those who seek to make evidence-based changes that benefit the populations we serve, including within our own city of Philadelphia. In our work with communities, policymakers, and with the media, we have a responsibility to elevate the visibility of forces that undermine health, looking beyond the present crises, whether violent acts or cities destroyed by fire or flood, to understand the upstream vulnerabilities in our social and political climate. We have a responsibility through our courses and our degree programs to grow the capacities of a workforce so that future public health professionals and their interdisciplinary colleagues will have the skills and commitments needed to avoid and counteract threats to health in every setting, including in settings that are impoverished within the United States and globally, where the conditions for healthy lives that we may take for granted are not present. We are here with these responsibilities in mind, determined to pursue a shared purpose through research, service, practice, and educational activities. We are well prepared to do this work, and we take inspiration from those now present, including those who are just joining us today. Yet, preparation and inspiration are not enough. One more ingredient is needed, and that ingredient, which we have, is something that I value and love about our school. That's a quest for more. At our school, we are not satisfied with the status quo. We are not content to continue doing what we've always done when the world around us has changed. We are not willing to accept conditions or treatment that falls short of human rights and human dignity. We will not be complacent about the state of the science, but will instead roll up our sleeves and develop better tools and move our work forward in ways that can advance the frontiers of knowledge. To remind us to carry forward into our daily lives the commitments that we make today, we will honor a school tradition. Our founding dean, Dr. Jonathan Mann, created a pin that we will distribute today, as we have annually for more than 2 decades. Dr. Mann had a vision of a school that is committed to health as a human right, imbued with a humanistic vision for centering public health through equity. This commitment is enduring, refreshed in new ways throughout our school's history, and more relevant than ever today. I want to extend a special welcome to all the new students, all the new staff and faculty from all backgrounds joining us from throughout the United States and from many countries around the world. You are key to our future. Before pins are distributed, I am delighted that we will have the opportunity to hear a few words from a speaker who exemplifies the commitment to health as a human right and fulfilling our responsibilities for overcoming threats to health. It's my pleasure today to introduce Director Melissa Lyon, who will be delivering a few words. It is fitting, as we begin our academic year, that we have a guest whose leadership is beginning a new chapter for the communities in nearby Delaware County in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. The newly formed Delaware County Health Department, which she leads, recognizes health as a foundation for thriving communities. Director Lyon came to her current role having earned a Master of Public Health degree from Kaplan University and having worked for 20 years in the field of public health, including overseeing tremendous staff growth in the context of strategic emergency response as COVID-19 response incident commander for Erie County's Health Department. Please join me in welcoming Director Lyon.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here to speak to the next up-and-coming generation of public health leaders and practitioners. As incoming public health students choosing to continue your education in the public health sector, I wondered to myself, what would I have wanted to know prior to embarking on my lifelong journey to be a public health practitioner? I said to myself, first, the pathway will rarely be linear. It will more often be a circuitous journey. And I selected those words intentionally, pathway and journey. Pathway, by definition, is a path, a course, a route, or a way. If pictured in your mind, the pathway seems established and easy to follow. Others have been there before you. And if it's well trodden, you can easily follow it to a destination. It may have a curve or a blind corner, but in general, the route is visible and you reach a new location. For some of you, that may be how your public health career goes. But for many of you, the career choice will be more of a journey. A journey is, by definition, going from one place to another, often enduring challenges, obstacles, uncertainty, ambiguity, and sometimes discomfort. For me, public health has been a journey for which I would never trade in for a more linear pathway, even though there have been days in my career that I had wished I had selected an occupation that was less daunting. So during my remarks this morning, I will share with you some of the more memorable moments of my journey and how they've shaped me to be a public health practitioner I am today. Maybe my story or my words will resonate with you today, or maybe into the future as you navigate your public health journey. So my passion for public health stems from my service in the United States Peace Corps, Cameroon, West Africa, from 1998 to 2000. I served as an agroforestry volunteer in a remote rural village with the Bamileke people. You may be wondering, how does agroforestry tie to the United States, to the public health in the United States? Agroforestry at that time was to incorporate trees into farming practices for local communities to prevent desertification and increase soil health so that would yield more food for families decrease hunger, and decrease malnourishment or malnutrition, which would in turn improve maternal and child health. That was our ultimate goal. So healthy mothers, healthy pregnancies, healthy births, healthy children. Though we all know it takes more than good nutrition to achieve those health outcomes. It is imperative that families have safe and clean potable water, use good hand hygiene, good food handling preparation practices, follow appropriate animal husbandry skills, and have access to basic medical care, much of which was absent or lacking in my rural village in Cameroon. Through this lived experience, I was able to clearly understand and appreciate how simple, basic public health interventions made long-lasting impacts on people's lives and the health of entire communities. As a Peace Corps volunteer, I taught people the importance of boiling water so that it's safe to drink. Hand washing, just the basic concept, how important hand washing is. And keeping animals out of their home, using mosquito nets regularly, often, appropriately, and importance of seeking care when they were ill. So in short, Peace Corps was my crash course in public health. Living where there was no public health was absolutely my best teacher. My Peace Corps service has also influenced my leadership approach to solving public health problems or issues. My leadership style is a mix of many leadership attributes, but the one I'm most proud of is using the lens of we are people serving people. To me, this means that public health meets people where they literally are, in their neighborhoods, in their homes, in their places of worship, their workplaces, their community spaces. We learn about the issues that are important to them when we meet them where they are literally living, working, and playing. We learn what they would like to change about their communities to make them healthier. Public health approaches, innovations, and programs are most successful when there's an opportunity to include people that represent the populations and communities that we're serving. I always want to know how a trusted community member was involved or engaged in our process. The most recent example demonstrating community involvement and transparency and trust in Delaware County is our community health assessment process. We're utilizing community conversations, focus group, and live data collection. And I want to take a minute to talk to you a little bit about our dashboard and our community health assessment to demonstrate this. So we're collecting survey responses real time, over 3,000 of them. And it was really important for me to have that data be available to the community as we're collecting it. This is completely unconventional. Normally in public health, we collect the data, we clean the data, we analyze the data, then we present the data the way we'd like the community to consume it. I took the risk and said, no, we're gonna let our dashboard be real-time data collection, knowing that we will clean it and analyze it and present it. I wanted the community to be able to see it, so trust me, you give us data, we show it back to you. That's transparency as well. And then I wanted them to see, is there something in the data that's not being represented that they wanted us to hear, so then to increase engagement. I do recognize that I've received some criticism around this, being that it could bias the data because I'm displaying it prior. I thought it's gonna take a really smart group of people to bias the data enough that it will matter. The trust, the transparency, and the engagement was most important to me. So it's a commitment to the nothing about us without us approach and our day-to-day public health work. So my friends and colleagues will also hear me say to myself and to them, and I did this yesterday, this is a first world problem. When I'm truly overwhelmed or frustrated with uncooperative technology, my Zoom never works, my team never works, I'm always on mute, I say to myself, this is a first world problem, I'm okay. Broken equipment, caught in traffic. I'm from a really rural place of Pennsylvania. This traffic thing, I had to have a driver today. I brought a driver because I said I can't do traffic. Or a coffee stain on my suit. I remind myself how truly privileged I am to have these be my daily problems. Because there's so many places in the world where people are living in fear of warfare, are refugees from political discord, destabilized governments, steeped in corruption, which impedes public welfare priorities. These places are often in continuous threat of diseases that have long been eradicated in the United States: dysentery, cholera, diphtheria, just to name a few. And others face starvation and so much more. I wish not to paint a picture of despair for developing countries, because there is true value in the simplicity of the lives in developing countries. While life may be difficult, it's simple. As compared to us in the United States, life can be very easy, yet it's complex. So I want to share a story about Ernestine. And Ernestine was my neighbor in Cameroon. We were about the same age. I was 25 at the time, so she was roughly 25. And her job was to take care of her grandmother. She was the last surviving matriarch of the family. She'd been widowed and was going blind, so she was unable to actually really care for herself or get food without assistance. So Ernestine's job was to get up very early in the morning, around 5 a.m. I know this because it's important that they greet you every morning. So I'd still be sleeping and she would greet me at my window, good morning. And she had a headload, this enormous headload that she would carry with her and walk about, and a hoe in one hand. And sometimes she'd have her infant cousin on her back if she was required to babysit that day too. So a headload, a shovel, a baby, 5 o'clock in the morning, she walks 10 miles roughly and farms all day and comes home with a bigger headload because she's carrying food home, plus all the things she took there, plus maybe some water on the way home because she had to stop at the well. She still has the baby and the hoe in her hand. So she's come home with even more burden. And to this day, I don't know that she knows that I did this, but I watch her because I would hear that headload flop onto the ground like, whoa. And she would dance and she would sing. And I thought to myself, wow, that all that she did that day, that burden must have been so physically demanding. And yet she came back and had something to celebrate. So for me, when I get into a place where my Zoom doesn't work and my equipment's broken and the technology doesn't work and I'm caught in traffic, I think of Ernestine. And to this day, I don't think she actually knows what an important impact she had on my life as I served in the United States Peace Corps. So these experiences of my Peace Corps service have shaped me to the leader that I am today. They keep me humble in my practice, but connected globally to the bigger picture of world health. So I was asked if I would describe how I handle transitions in my life and my career. Please note, I wasn't asked how well or gracefully I handle them, just how do I handle them. Transitions can be difficult, and I've learned that I have a high tolerance for ambiguity, uncertainty, and discomfort, which makes me more daring and courageous when faced with transitions and adversity. Let's be honest, accepting the position of the first public health director for Delaware County, the most populous county in the country without a public health department, was daring and a courageous decision, especially during a pandemic. May I add, I may have been a little naive when I decided to take this job, but I have this ability to have ambiguity, uncertainty, and discomfort. So the last known startup health department in Pennsylvania was in the 80s, and there was no playbook, and if there was, it's way outdated anyways. So all I knew is that this was going to be a rare and exciting opportunity, and here I am. So transitioning to a new place is not easy. Some of you may know that. This may be new to you. It can be especially tough to connect with the community when you are new or not from here. I remind myself to revisit my past successes of my career, whether I was in a country and a culture that I knew nothing about, or a new county, or a new part of the country where I am a foreigner and not from there. Hence, being a public health director in a new area of Pennsylvania has had a similar feel of being unfamiliar. I'm having to learn about the culture, the beliefs, and the social norms of southeastern Pennsylvania. When I began compiling my thoughts for this presentation, I thought I'd be sharing about my lessons learned at Delaware County. But in fact, it's too early for me to actually give you lessons learned. I'm not grounded in what those are yet. I suspect I will reflect on this experience in the future and compile lessons learned for future presentations, should I be asked to present. So for now, I'm learning to navigate my new Delaware County community in southeastern Pennsylvania. Though there have been many transitions and challenges in my career, but the COVID-19 pandemic has been by far the most grueling transition I have navigated. And it is the one transition that felt like it was happening to me, not with me or by me. I'm sure this is how it felt for all of you. I have taken my public health oath of preventing injury, illness, disease, and premature death incredibly serious throughout my career. Many times during the pandemic, I held myself personally accountable for protecting people's lives and saving their lives. I held myself personally accountable for protecting people and saving lives. The first reported death in my community was a personal and professional setback in my mental state. The stark reality of the pandemic's ability to cause massive death was real, and I made it my mission, wildly unpopular, mission to double down on the public health interventions that were available to save lives and prevent premature death. If you all remember, it was quarantine, isolation, social distancing, face covering, and hygiene. In my mind, every COVID-19 death was preventable. While in hindsight, I realized the magnitude of the pandemic made that an utterly unrealistic expectation. At the start of the pandemic, I tracked every day that we worked by placing an X on the calendar. When I crossed day 100 straight off the calendar, no days off for me or my team, I stopped counting. I knew public health was facing a long-term pandemic response, and as a public health practitioners, we needed to establish personal and professional boundaries so we could continue to do the work and not burn out. We had to build resiliency by giving people the work time off and have them not feel guilty for taking time off to recharge. We needed to show them that they were appreciated for their hard work and their dedication. And lastly, we needed to develop a long-term plan that could sustain the pandemic response for what we now know to be years. It is the role and responsibility of public health to protect people until vaccines and therapeutics can be developed, approved, widely accepted, and available to communities. Quarantine, isolation, social distancing, and masks were never meant to be draconian law. They were the only tools that we had available at the time to protect people from disease, illness, and premature death from COVID-19. So having true resolve and understanding about the importance of our roles and responsibilities helped us maintain dedicated to the response while facing fatigue, personal and professional attacks, and burnout. The public health field attracts a type of professional, this is all of you in this room, that can remain dedicated to a cause and be resilient to adversity because we are people serving people. The last attribute, which at times is the most difficult to do or build, is trust. In this case, trust is three-dimensional for me. Trust is competence, honesty, and benevolence. The first dimension of trust is building trust with the public, community leaders, decision makers, partners, policy makers, elected officials, families, friends, and coworkers. The second dimension is to trust yourself and your decisions. And the last dimension is to trust the process that you are doing the right thing because it matters, and you are saving lives by preventing injury, illness, disease, and premature death. It's a noble mission, and it's yeoman's work. Public health, as you all know, is built upon science. Science simplified is hypotheses with experimentation and robust research to disprove what we believe to be true. This is mind-blowing to people who are not science and data nerds like all of us in this room. The average person doesn't really understand silent science, let alone emerging science in the form of public health. This makes it incredibly difficult for the average citizen to understand or believe us, and that has led to the mistrust of public health and the entire public health industry. It takes a lot of time, often years and sometimes decades, to build relationships and trust, and to build relationships. And once trust is established, it cannot be neglected or taken for granted that it will always be there. Trust must be nurtured and cared for. Trust is a relationship that almost always needs to be tended to. We must continue to bring value to our work so that we can retain the trust in our relationships and our partnerships that make public health successful. The pandemic response and politicization of the pandemic have eroded the public's trust of public health leaders and science. We have a great deal of work ahead of us to repair and rebuild the public's trust in science and public health. As burgeoning public health professionals and leaders, we will need your help to build, foster, keep, and cherish the trusted relationships now and into the future in order to expand to the next level of public health work. Next, trust yourself. Trust that you are making the best decisions with the information and data available to you at the time. Knowing that information and data can and will change over time, you may need to modify, adapt, or make a new decision. There is uncertainty and ambiguity in every day in public health. You must be comfortable with uncertainty, and you must remain confident that the decisions that you are making for the health and well-being of the communities and the populations are the correct ones. Ultimately, we are people serving people. It's the Hippocratic Oath. First, do no harm. Finally, trust the process, the science, and the direction or trajectory you are traveling in your public health journey. Sometimes we must trust that we are, in place and time, right where we are supposed to be. There is rarely a well-defined pathway in public health. It is a destination, a vision that requires you to embark upon a journey filled with uncertainty, ambiguity, and sometimes discomfort. But the reward is knowing that you are saving lives of people every day, and they don't even know it. How cool is that? How cool is that? So in closing, my advice to you as up-and-coming public health practitioners and leaders is find your passion in your work. Resolve in the mission of saving lives, often without recognition. Remember, we are people serving people. Get comfortable and embrace uncertainty, ambiguity, and discomfort. Build trust and have trust in yourself and the process. You are right where you are meant to be. And last, enjoy your journey. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Lyon, for those inspiring, insightful, and encouraging remarks. Your leadership serving as the first Delaware County Health Department Director is an inspiration for us all as we begin the new academic year. At this time, we would like to present the Dornsife School Public Health Human Rights Pins. I would like to invite our department chairs to the stage to present the pins to our students here today. The School Public Health Pin was initially designed by our first dean, Dr. Jonathan Mann. Dr. Mann was a humanitarian, advocate, and visionary who highlighted the intersection of health as a human right. The pin has experienced several changes over the past decade, starting when the school joined Drexel University. The most recent modification took place when we became the Dornsife School of Public Health. Today's ceremony signals your induction into a human rights focused, sorry, I lost my place. Into a human rights focused health program. I hope you leave here today feeling inspired and excited about your chosen field of study. Students will now receive their pin. Will the students in the first rows please stand? Orientation leaders, please escort the students to the stage. welcome to all our new students, faculty, and staff. I welcome you all to our school once again, and thank you for contributing to the mission of the Dornsife School of Public Health. Dornsife's student government organization leaders, Maddie Plummer, Anil Kumar, and Edwin McCulley will now lead everyone in reciting the preamble of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, adopted in 1948 by the General Assembly of the United Nations. This pledge signifies our commitment to health as a human right.
Today, we cross a threshold in our lives. For today, in this ceremony, we publicly enter the field of public health. We are embarking on an educational process which will help us find the professional pathway through which we can each contribute to public health and to the health and well-being of each individual within the global community.
The goal of public health is to assure to all the conditions in which people can be healthy. Our commitment to this goal is made with full awareness of the difficulty and complexity of the challenge which lies before us. For we in public health know that the society is the major determinant of health status. Because human well-being, physical, mental, and social, depends so much on societal factors, we must work towards societal transformation. This commitment to social justice is guided by our respect for human rights and dignity.
We are strengthened by solidarity with those who suffer, with those who seek, in many different ways to prevent and alleviate suffering, and with each other. Together, let us stand and quote the preamble to the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Everyone, please stand and recite our pledge together with us. Whereas recognition of the inherent dignity and of the equal and inalienable rights of all members of the human family is the foundation of freedom, justice, and peace in the world. Whereas disregard and contempt for human rights have resulted in barbarous acts which have outraged the conscience of mankind, and the advent of a world in which human beings shall enjoy freedom of speech and belief and freedom from fear and want has been proclaimed as the highest aspiration of the common people. Whereas it is essential, if man is not to be compelled to have recourse, as a last resort, to rebellion against tyranny and oppression, that human rights should be protected by the rule of law. Whereas the people of the United Nations have in the Charter reaffirmed their faith in fundamental human rights, in the dignity and worth of the human person, and in the equal rights of men and women, and have determined to promote social progress and better standards of life in larger freedom. Whereas member states have pledged themselves to achieve, in cooperation with the United Nations, the promotion of universal respect and observance of human rights and fundamental freedoms. Whereas a common understanding of these rights and freedoms is of the greatest importance for the full realization of this pledge. And from the Constitution of the World Health Organization, the enjoyment of the highest attainable standards of health is one of the fundamental rights of every human being without discrimination of race, religion, political belief, economic, or social condition. This forms the basis for our concern with health, human rights, and dignity, and therefore to public health. Today, we mark and celebrate this next stage in our commitment.
Everybody can sit down now. Thank you to our student government organization leaders and to our new students. Welcome to the Dornsife School of Public Health and to the new academic year. As I have said earlier in this week, my colleagues and I are so excited that you are finally here. Though public health has been at the forefront of this pandemic, at Dornsife, our goals remain the same. We are fully committed to ensure that you have the best possible experience, whether it be virtual or in person. I hope you make the most of all that is available. As we celebrate the significance of our commitment, we were reminded that the ceremony connects you with over 2,600 alumni and many passionate public health advocates who were here before you. And I hope that you will connect with us on our LinkedIn page. Here at Dornsife, there are dedicated faculty and professional staff who are committed to your success. If I could offer one piece of advice, it would be to think of your future in public health, not in terms of after you get your degree, but how it relates to our present now. Today marks the beginning of your journey, so don't wait. Be an advocate and get involved in practicing public health today. As we conclude our pinning and welcoming ceremony, we are thrilled to have such a wonderful group of new students and public health leaders joining us. I hope you leave here today feeling inspired. I know I do. Thank you and have a wonderful day and weekend. And we now invite you to join us in the lobby for a reception.